Hey everybody, it's me, it's Undead Viking. I'm coming to you with another video review. I do apologize, it's been a little while since my last video, but I just had real life getting in the way and I haven't had a lot of chance to either play games or be able to actually find the time to sit down and make a video. So thank you for your patience. I do hope everybody out there who is a dad had a great Father's Day. I did. I got a brand new watch, which was pretty cool. And I guess my daughter picked it out and she made a pretty good choice for me. The game I am going to be reviewing today is a Kickstarter game. It is a game that will be in a Kickstarter phase very soon, if not by the time you see this video. And the name of the game is called Burning Suns. I hope you can see that. It's a game from Sun Tzu Games and Emil Larson, or Emil. I'm horrible with pronouncing names. I do apologize, but Emil Larson. It is a classic 4X science fiction type game. There's tons of games that have come out with this theme over the course of the last, 5-6 years, and I mean, there's tons of games, just period, since board games have been invented, and it's a theme that I adore. I love playing competitive colonization, creating your ships, sending out your space fleet to do battle with your friends and enemies, and alliances and all those things that make games. Like, I remember playing computer games like Masters of Orion, or To Reach the Stars, things like that. And I love playing those games on the computer, and I love the ports that over to board game. I mean, obviously there's there's some big names out there that I'm sure most of you have heard of. Like I mentioned, Eclipse. Obviously, Twilight Imperium is something that people know of. I did a review of Exodus fairly recently, within the last year, I guess, if that's fairly recently. Things like that. I mean, and each and every game of that genre that I have played has always brought something to the table that made the game unique in some way and made the game enjoyable. And I'm glad that I own all of them. And like most recently, I did a review of Zaya. I just can't remember. And that's a game that, like I said, it's space themed and stuff like that. So when the opportunity arose that I would get the chance to take a shot at checking out this game, as far as in that genre, I jumped at it. The designer and publisher was kind enough to send me a very nice prototype of the game, and I've been able to play that with my gaming group a few times now, and we've really enjoyed the heck out of it. So I'm going to take a fairly decent amount of time to kind of show you the game and show you how, give you a nice overview of the rules, so you can get an idea of how the game is played and get a feel for it. That's what I'm kind of going for with this one. And then after all is said and done, I'm going to come back, as I always do, and I'm going to tell you why this game is really exciting me and why I'm planning on backing it as soon as the Kickstarter is available. Because of right now, I know the Kickstarter hasn't gone live. I know it's going live very, very soon. And so I can get a copy of the finished version of the game, because I'm going to show you the game, and it's got very decent and very good art, and it's got very workable pieces as far as the components for your ships and your ground troops and all that stuff like that. But I do know that the finished game, the published game, is going to have what we all love, tons of miniatures and things like that, so we can get excited about seeing like our little space fleets and our empire take shape, and that's always like a real fun part of the game. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, so I will I'll show you how to play the game a little bit, and then I'll come back and I'll tell you exactly what I think of Burning Suns. All right, Burning Suns. Here we go. No, really, here we go. I do apologize. While I could show you like a two-player game of Burning Suns on my table in my game room, I don't think I'd be able to really highlight the things about it that I like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of show you the different aspects of the game, so you can kind of get a feel and a good overview of how the game is played and what the different components or the mechanics of the game include. one of the most important aspects of the game is what you see in front of you right here. This is a player board, and you can tell it's made of 3 different spots. The middle is the name of the race. Like, here's the Terrans, underneath is the Cyborgs, and I'll show you that in just a moment. And like, these cards are the Empire ideology, and these cards are the Empire structure. And depending on how you want to do it, these are handed out in such a way that either it's random, or you could roll dice and see who picks first. Anything. I prefer randomly handing them out, just because then nobody can just get kind of set in their ways, and they are forced to play, you know, a different version each time they play the game, or at least, you know, some part of it random. But as you can see, it kind of tells like a little story. Like, here's the Psionic Terrans of the Twilight Sun. Now, each one of these parts has important information that they'll tell you. On the ideology for Psionic here, these are the different powers that you'll have in the game. And you start on the bottom here, and this power, you know, is like this one. Before mission, you can choose to change your mission to a recruit or diplomacy action. So you can, like, basically you can change it, you know, just before the mission is undertaken. But as you move up, as you gain levels in the game, and I'll explain that in just a few moments, you get to pick one of these. And so level 1, you get to pick one of these. Level 2, you pick this. Obviously, it's the only option. And then, the next level, last level, you'll pick either one of these. And you'll notice that these have little symbols. Like, this is a passive ability. It's active all the time. This is an ability that is, it's something you will choose. Either it'll be before or after a certain circumstance during the game. And these with the little, like, sun icon is like you'll have to activate them by taking an action, and you get to take that action in the game. You also notice that there's these symbols here that, like, there's this little, like, blue and little angel wings kind of thing here, and then this little green kind of X or whatever, and then these red, I don't even know what they're supposed to be. I don't know. They look kind of like horns or something. And as you may have guessed, that is kind of like the aspect of your ideology is whether it's good, neutral, or evil, if you will. And those come into play when you start collecting exploration cards. And depending on what aspect you decide to take with your particular ideology, then you'll be able to activate certain powers with the exploration cards, because the certain exploration cards will be powerful for if you are predominantly good or predominantly neutral, and so on and so forth. Here, why don't I just show you, like, an exploration card real quick, and like this exploration card, you'll notice on the bottom it says activate and discard, unleash on a system. This is like the arachnoids. Destroy up to X, it says here, troop regiments. Well, as you can see, if you are predominantly, like, if you're on a good aligned, it would be worth 2, neutral 3, and of course, since you're dropping giant arachnoids and eating people, the more evil person actually gets to get 5 on that. So you can see, and and here's one that's just a scanner. It's straight across. No, but like some of them, let me find one here. Like here, like a cloaking device, a more benign thing. Activate and keep exterior ships can jump through enemy fleets when jumping. So, if you're a more benign assist, then you get 5 as opposed to. So that's where that comes into play. In this side over here, the actual structure, as I said, the Empire structure. What happens with this is that these are the values that are given as far as with taking certain actions, which I'm going to explain here in just a few moments. Of the Twilight Sun, notice how they get bonuses, certain warfare attacks, the special ability uses 1, explore 1, and so on and so forth. Now, if you look at here, let me just find, like, here, like, of the Outer Rim, like, their exploration
is, you know, way different. It's, you know, it's higher, things like that. If you see an X, that's just like the standard cost. You know, it's you know, so if there's ever an X on something, it's just what would the default would be. So you can see like different things, different structures give different bonuses and negatives, if you will. And so when you have all of these, I don't know which one I have, that's what I had. So when you have all of these different options, you have all, you know, lots of different ways that you can affect the actual race. And the actual race, like here, the Terrans, obviously this is like the humanoid race, but you'll see these are the three basic ships that you'll have, and this is your ground forces. And this number here is their attack value. You roll a d8 when you have combats, and so obviously you're trying to get that roll. And notice how the leaders up here, they also have the whole, you know, they also have different values as far as, obviously this is a more powerful leader than, say, this one right here. And you'll notice that there's these boxes here, and these two boxes over here. Well, these boxes are, there's a galactic market, which, once again, is something I'm going to show you here in just a few moments. But you'll be able to purchase enhancements that will make this particular unit better. And so you'll, in like this one, and obviously like these don't get enhancements. These over here are enhancements that you actually can purchase through the market that will enhance your race as a whole. And so you have two there. Down here you have, and you notice there's these nice little 3D drawings here, and this is obviously not what I have, but these are what I understand what these units will look like. These are your kind of like elite ships that you have. And you notice the attack values are much higher. You'll notice that they have a number of dice here, so they're rolling multiple dice for their attacks. These are like the hit points, so as they get hit, they aren't just destroyed automatically. These ships, if they take hits, they're just gone. The cost, and this is the cost here, it's much more exorbitant. Say like, you know, this is 5, whereas this is 22. And so you can kind of see where those, you know, are much better, but obviously you're kind of paying through the nose to get them, if you will. But, you know, that's how those work. Now, and you can see, like here, look at the, in comparison, see like here's the Terrans, as I said, those are the, but like the cyborgs, they only have one over here. They can modify their ground troops a lot, and so on and so forth. And so that's how those are different. So what's going to happen is that, you know, and those, here's the changelings with 3 over there, and so on and so forth. And these are very all nicely balanced. I meant to put the Terrans down. I do apologize. There we go. And these are all very well balanced, and they work well. So, you know, you might have one game have the Psionic Terrans of the Twilight Sun, but the next time you play, you know, you'll have the United Cyborgs of the Void, or the United Changelings of Eternity, and things like that. And not only does it kind of give kind of like a nice epic name to your different races, like, or the United, or how about the Assassin Insectoids of the Outer Rim, you know, and so it just makes the game interesting. And then each time you play, the game will, you know, as far as your race, it'll be a new and a different combination of something that will like force you to kind of adapt a strategy that fits the race that you get. And I really enjoy this aspect of the game. So let me just get this out of the way. And the nice thing is that there's multiple player colors, but there's no set color for each one of those races, so you can kind of go through that. I'm just going to show you some other things really quick here. This is the scoring track of the game. The scoring track is called the Antimatter track. It's pretty straightforward. Everybody starts at 0. And then I mentioned the levels before, and you'll notice that like once you get to 3, as far as your points go, that you use level 1, 6 is level 2, that's level 3. And you notice 10 is a 2-player victory, 12 is a 3-player victory, and so on and so forth, and you know, all the way up to 16 for a 5-player victory. Now, Burning Suns doesn't have a set number of turns. You just play until somebody reaches that point. If there is also the option to play the long game on the back, and you can see this is obviously the game will last a lot longer due to the fact that your winning conditions are much higher points than sorry, it's upside down, than your standard game there. I mentioned the Galactic Market standard. This is your standard game. This is your limited game. You'll notice that this is just not used, obviously. So in your standard game, you have a lot more spots open. There'll be 8 spots open in your standard game, and you'll notice that these are used for 4 players. This is used for 5 players. And your limited game, like where you don't have a lot of technology, only these 4 are used. This opens up for 4 players. This opens up for 5 players. When the game is played, you have this bag here that you will draw your these tiles out at random, and you replenish these with each new turn. If any get bought, you do replenish them, and you just place these down. And these are enhancements that you get to add to either, like this is a ship here. You get to add that to your fleet if you purchase that, or you can the ones with the gears will enhance a ship if you have a or a ground unit if you can enhance those. And the ones with, if you remember that symbol from the player boards, this is it enhances your race, and this is +1 crystal per turn, and crystals obviously are the money of the game. So things like that. You'll notice that these have a number on the top, and that's how much it costs to purchase those. You know, and so that's how the Galactic Market. If one turn goes by and like say those were purchased and those are gone now, when you replenish it, you just reach into the bag again and you draw out 3 more. So here's a +2 attack. Here's a +1 troop regiment in assaults. And and this is actually, I'm glad I drew this. This is a building, and certain planets will allow you to put buildings on them, and then you can. This one's obviously like it cancels 2 hits from bombardment. So like just like a lot of Space 4X games, you can try to bomb the city or the people that are on the planet before you invade it to soften them up, and so that'd be something you'd have there. But that's how the Galactic Market works, and I'll probably reference that when I talk about how the game is played in a little bit, but I just want to make sure that you see that so you know what that is. Alright, and the next thing I'm going to show you is the actual the actual actions that you're going to be able to take when you play the game. Now, these are the 4 different boards. Let me just back up, and I do hate zooming in and out, but I just need to in this situation. These are the different player boards that you have, that you're going to have in front of you or on the table, that you're going to use to pick your actions for the turn that you're on. Okay, before I kind of go into the cards and the actions or whatever, and before I show you how they actually play, I'm just going to show you one real quick. Here's the exploration card, and you'll see there's these little markings here that like have the spots where you'll put the people. You'll notice there's one here with like 4. So you're using that if you have 4 players or more. So you'll notice that like you kind of just, the arrows just show you go like this, then down, and so on and so forth, like so. And the cards are these like little action sheets are taken, you start here and go down like so on and so forth. Now, the cool thing about it is that in each turn, you take these and you pick them up and you shuffle them up like so, and then you just turn them down. So you have an entirely different order to the actions that's going to happen in the next turn. And I really like this. I like the fact that it kind of changes things up a little. And while you are able to pre-plan and look ahead, you can't always guarantee that certain actions are going to happen in front of other actions. And I know some people might not like that kind of randomness part of it, but I dig it. I mean, it's just it prevents it adds that like extra level of kind of subjective chaos, if you will, that you know, it makes the game fun. It makes you plan multiple different paths. You know, well, if this happens for that, I can do that, but I better keep in mind if this, and so on, like things like that, that you can work out in your brain before the next turn happens. But you know, pretty simply, what happens is that you just you take you're going to get these little leader tokens, and you can remember these guys from the Terrans, and you'll notice that they have numbers. Some of the actions that you take here will ask you to roll for the power of the leader, in which case then you will use the power that's on them, like so. But you just figure out which spot or what you want to do as far as your turn goes, and you're just gonna, as each person then takes a turn and they place their leader in the spots that they want. And I'm not really picking these on purpose to like be accurate or well thought out. I'm just kind of showing you how it works, and this just kind of fills up. Now each player gets 3 leaders, and if you're playing with more than 3 people, you get to use 2 of them. If you're playing with a 2 or 3 player game, you just use 2 of them. And so after all of these are out, you then start. First thing you do is the last person to put their leader down. Well, let's say it was this person. They put that one down. They get the first player marker. So the person that basically went last gets to go first. The only way to beat that, there isn't like a spot in a lot of games where you play some person down and then you get to then be the first player the next turn. That doesn't exist in this game. The only way you can make it so you aren't the last person to put down the token is by skipping a turn. Basically, if you have 3 leaders and you only put 2 down, you can prevent that from happening, and then you will get it. So you're giving up an action to be the first player. So that doesn't happen much. It's only happened once or twice when I played it, but the option's out there for you if you decide to do that. So it's pretty simple. Then you just you start off. You start. This person takes that action. Then you go there, and you can kind of, obviously I don't need to keep pulling them off. You can see how that works. The interesting thing is a lot of times there will be abilities over here that can negatively impact or attack players. And so there'll be people over here with like during warfare and battle that will take an action and they have to choose who they're going to attack. But there might be somebody over here with like a special ability on their card that allows them to, kind of have retribution. And that will be helpful, as far as to convince somebody not to attack you, things like that. So the order of the actions is very important and can make for some very interesting decisions as far as the players are concerned. And that's just, and once again, it's kind of luck of the draw, but it also helps when you're planning, because if you see somebody's going to fight you or something like that, then maybe you do put a character over here and to take that action, so you can kind of say, you better not attack me because so on and so forth, things like that. But there you go. I mean, that's how that works. If you played a worker placement game, I'm sure you are very familiar with the ability of putting the worker down basically in the spot. Obviously, the interesting thing is because of the fact that you have different players, like you have as these Terrans, as I showed you earlier, like this guy's a 1 through 5. And this person's 1 through 4. Like, you'll have to like weigh between the 2 of them. I mean, that isn't a huge difference, but I do know like the 3rd Terran. If I can find him now, of course I put him off to the side. The 3rd Terran leader is a 1 through 2. Yeah, here we go. The 3rd Terran leader is a 1 through 2, and so you have to like try to. Like obviously that one's better, so you kind of have to weigh where you're going to place those particular leaders. Then not all workers are made alike, so to speak. Well, quickly, I just want to show you kind of what the different actions are. Battle, obviously, you just start a battle. Pretty straightforward. If your fleet is in an area with another fleet, you can choose to attack. Being the person to attack is being the first person to shoot is good, because unlike in a lot of games where you shoot your volley and you take out a few people, and then they're going to lose a few ships, but they get to fire back before they guess. Not so in this game. In this game, if you fire off your volley and you destroy some ships, they don't get to fight back. So it's important. Bombard. That's when you're basically dropping bombs on the world that you're orbiting in order to soften them up before your invasion. And of course, here's the assault, which is of course the invasion. In which your ground forces try to take a planet over by force. Exploration, pretty straightforward. And this is when you explore, that allows you to check out different areas of space to see what's there. If you want to jump, that's moving your fleet, so it allows you to go to those places that you've explored, so you can colonize or attack or what have you. And scans, you notice here the one roll, 1 to 3 is one exploration. That's one exploration card, and a 4 through 8 is 2 crystals, and crystals is the money in the game. Just quickly, I showed you these earlier. You might recognize these are the exploration cards, cloaking with the different abilities here on the bottom. You have a deck of these. Depending on how many players, you have a certain number of them available showing. If you have more than 3 players, you have 2 of these cards flipped over and showing. And obviously the art isn't completely done, like heavy missiles or tractor beam. And you have those 2 showing if you have more than 3. And then when you roll an ability exploration card, you can take either the cards that are available, or you can take one off the top of the deck. And so you get that as a little ability that adds to your nation, if you will. The next one here is I mentioned before, like ability. This allows you to activate an ability on a card or on your particular empire. Like as you gain levels, you gain those abilities. Recruit is recruiting agents. I'll show you that in just a second. Missions, these are sabotage missions. I like this picture of the guy popping out of the water, shooting 2 people. But anyway, these are sabotage missions that allow you to conduct a subterfuge, if you mission, to wreak havoc on another empire. And I'm just going to show you like some agent cards here. The agents work like the exploration cards. As once again, and I do apologize, I dropped these right before I did. That's why it took me so long to get them. But agent cards, it is a deck of cards that you have. If there's more than 3 players, you have 2. If there's less, it's just 1. And there's like a smuggler, a special forces agent. You can either take one of these 2 or draw one off the top. Agents have a passive ability, like re-roll 1 mission per round. So like if your mission to sabotage failed, you can re-roll it again. Or as a power, you can activate and discard the card, and you conduct 1 mission with 3 targets. So obviously, different cool things. And let me just show you some of the art. The game is, in my opinion, has been impressed me a lot with the art. So here you go. There's different art. The cloner, he looks kind of evil. And so like troop regiment cost is -1, so making troops is easier. So one of those things where it's just like, these are cool little guys that you can add to your empire that will help you out. And then finally, here we have the civilization, the colonize, pretty straightforward. You're colonizing planets. Diplomacy. Diplomacy can be used to persuade a system to want to join you. If it's like a neutral system, you can make them like you and join your little empire. It can also be used to persuade somebody else's system that they control into rebellion, to have that in so that they lose control of the situation. It can also be used to add alliances between you and another player, but I'll explain that in just a second. Construct, obviously pretty straightforward. You're just building units for yourself. But here, the alliances, before the game begins, each person gets these cards, and they are the different alliances that you can have. Alliance for war, alliance for peace, or a trade alliance. And depending on the number of players, you get that many of these cards. And so if you look at your thing and you realize you're probably gonna be more like peace loving. Maybe you wouldn't have the Alliance for War cards, and you just focus on the Trade Alliance or Alliance for Peace. But like if there's 5 players, you'd have to discard 1, and you get 6 of these. And basically what this is like you take that alliance and then you can form an alliance with somebody and say, hey, look, we'll get +2 crystals per turn if we go ahead and have a trade alliance, and we'll go ahead and exchange those cards, and you have those. And then you can also do that action to change the alliance. So maybe you've had a trade alliance with somebody, and now it's time for war. So you can change that alliance to an alliance for war. Or you can just choose to do it, and then you can just take your card back, and now you no longer have an alliance with that person. That can be useful if you plan on going to war with that person, because you can go to war with somebody if you have an alliance with them, but whatever card that you used to have the alliance with that person, you discard it, and you don't have it available to you for the rest of the game. So sometimes you'll want to take that diplomacy action to take back your alliance with that person before you go to war, which is one of those things where if you're planning on that, it might be useful, or you're kind of hoping that this happens, this once in the order. So you go like that. And it might be a clue as well if you take the diplomacy action and you rescind your alliance with somebody, and then you also got some units over here in the warfare. So that might the writing may be on the wall, if you will. So that's kind of a brief overview of the actions that you'll be taking. It's really nice because it's all real time. So as the actions take place, they immediately take place. As you pull it off, that particular actions that are taken here immediately affect the actions in later segments. It isn't something where it all kind of this will all be jumbled together at the end of all the actions that you're taking. So it's nice that it has that kind of real-time effect, and there's no real misinterpretation, I guess, if you will, as far as what happens first, what happens next, and so on and so forth. All right, well, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of show you a setup of a small little 2-player system, if you will, and just so you can kind of get a look of what the game kind of seems like when you're actually implementing these actions, and maybe you can just kind of tell what it's going to feel like when you play. All right, I'll do that right now. All right, here we go. I just set up a quick little 2-player game. This is one of the most basic maps they have on the website for, I know on the Kickstarter that's going to have, they're going to have more available. There's a lot more in the rule book, but I just kind of took one that was simple just so I could kind of show you what it looks like at the beginning of the game. This is the home world disc that each person has. It has 2 different sides. It has this side, revealed location, and it has this side, unknown location. If you want to play the game with player elimination, you will play it with this side. That means that somebody can actually find the planet, and they are able to attack you. And if they're able to take you out, then you're out of the game. This is the income that gives you. So notice there's 7 crystals as opposed to 5. There's only 1 building spot as opposed to 2 building spots. And so, there's a very slight difference. We've never played with player elimination just because we didn't see the point. We just, not that we're bloodthirsty or anything like that. We certainly are, but, knocking somebody out of a game that lasts a couple hours maybe just seems like kind of cruel in my mind. But regardless, that's what this looks like. At the beginning of the game, each person gets 1 each of their starting ships. You can see there, and you just place those on there like so, and they get 1 little Space Marine ground unit that you place on there like so, and like that. The interesting thing about the game is that each of these locations is attached, like from here to here they're attached, and that is like a jump distance of 1, and depending on your particular empire's abilities, how far you can move, that might be all the farther you can move. This here bridges the gap. This asteroid field here bridges the gap between these two here, but it's a jump distance of 2. You know, these are connected, and these are connected with this space spot here, and this nebula spot here connects those, and so on and so forth. As the game progresses, you will explore these locations and you'll turn them over. Like if you explore this uninhabited, like you'll notice that it has this one over here. This is the antimatter. These are victory points, obviously, and here's it says like +2 building spots. When you gain the point for taking this over, so like, you know, say they moved in here and you know, they built a base on there or whatever, you'd get that point and you'd go up that spot on the track. You also get points for lots of other things. There's certain galactic market items that'll increase that. Winning a battle, just winning a space battle gets you a point. But some of them can be taken away. You know, obviously, like winning a battle, that can't be taken away. You always won that battle. But if somebody would come in and take this planet away from you, you lose that point that you gained for that. It's important to note that, you know, some of these are obviously better than others. The number here kind of gives you a hint as far as them getting better. This is, you know, an inhabited planet, and you turn it over, and you can see that, you know, this is inhabited. It's got income. It's worth 2 points, and when it's inhabited, you have to either take it over or use diplomacy to try to, you know, convince them to join you. There's also, but this is not like but you know, so there's a difference between that and this hostile planet. When you turn it over, this one will actively fight you if you try to take it over. And you can see here it says it's got 3 dark ships and 3 militia, and that's what these guys are. And so you'll put these on stands, and you'll put those on there for the 3 dark ships. You know, they will readily attack you and fight back, and they'll get these 3 militia tokens that will fight you, you know, if you try to land on here. But it can sometimes be worth the cost to take it over, because if you have this one, it's -1 to any galactic markets thing that you want to take, and so this can be a very powerful system to have. You know, like as I said, this is a smaller system, and so there isn't a lot of room to maneuver. It's only going to be a matter of time before you've, you know, explored all of your options as far as the different ships. Different systems, and so that's when the game becomes more of a bottleneck. And obviously, like this particular system up here is the creme de la creme. You'll notice that it has it has 2 income and gives you the 2 victory points for having it. And so maybe there'll be a lot of to and fro tug battle for that particular location. You do keep, there are certain situations where you will draw more systems, in which case then you draw off the bottom of the deck, so you don't know what's next, and then you'll have this, and so then you'd have another system, and then you'd place that on the game board. But other than that, I mean, all the different actions that I explained before, you know, as far as, you know, the attacks, if, you know, the fleets are in the same spot, that's when you do an attack action, and you get out the 8-sideds that you have, and you know, start rolling your attacks and trying to roll low to do damage to the other fleet so you can take them out. You know, the Explorer, as I mentioned before, you know, all of those actions that I explained to you prior to this portion of the game take effect on this particular map. And the really cool thing about the game, and I'll go into it more in my conclusion, is the fact that the design of the galaxy can pretty much just be anything your mind can think of. You can follow the creator's example and the publisher's examples they have, but if you want to take and use every single one of these discs that come with the game, you can just make a giant galaxy, if you will, and you can then take and hook them together using all these the little squares, and you can put them together, and you get a bunch of those as well, and you can hook them together however you like, and then you can make this you know, just huge sprawling thing, or you can make a small condensed one like this to promote, you know, that one-on-one type of situation. I really like the fact that, also because of the fact that, you know, it is not a set design, that the sky's the limit kind of as far as the expansions go with the game, because of the fact that, you know, you could get tons of new planets with new abilities and things like that that can be added to the game. And the same thing goes with pretty much across the board with the game as well, as far as the different races and the different ideologies and structures and stuff like that. The options available to the creator to expand on this game and make it, you know, more epic and more on just a huge and large scale, really excite me about the future of Burning Suns. But I just wanted to show you that to you. You know, as far as, I mean, it's kind of interesting to the fact that you know, all the action takes place here, but really all the action really takes place on the action boards. You know, because that's where the planning is, and this is just kind of where it evolves, if you will. You know, and this kind of reacts to what you just saw. But I just wanted to make sure you saw this, and so you saw how the game actually looks. And once again, it's a prototype, and I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, or I'm sure these will be made out of big, thick cardboard instead of, you know, a rather thin little pieces of paper that I have. But you know, but the artwork, as I said, looks nice. It's very sci-fi themed, very epic, and you know, it works, and it looks really nice. And I've had large 5-person games, and I apologize, my table here is kind of small, so I wasn't able to show you one of those. But it does look really, really cool when you're playing a giant, huge space opera, if you will. But let me tell you exactly what I think of Burning Suns, and you can decide whether or not you think you want to back this game. So let's do that right now. Did I mention I didn't dance much at my wedding? Didn't dance much at my wedding. Oh, okay. All right. So, Burning Suns. You now should have a good idea. If not like a play-by-play of how to play the game, you should have a really good idea of the flow of it and how like the mechanics of the game work. So, let's dive into what I think, like you're expecting me to. Okay. Whenever, and I've said this before in other reviews, whenever you come out with a game that has a theme that has been tread upon before, I don't envy. I've said this before. I don't envy publishers. I don't envy designers. You know, because it's like people will always say something along the lines of, "Well, yeah, but I own Eclipse. I don't need this." So if you're talking about a 4X game, or they'll say, "I don't need another Dice Hero. I got Kingsburg." You know, and I understand that. I understand that mentality. You know, there's only we all have a finite amount of time that we get to play games, and I wish I had a ton more. But I mean, like, summer's here and stuff like that, and just like life ebbs and flows, and as far as your spare time and your ability to play stuff. And one of the things I always have said is that I get the idea that somebody will say, well, I don't need, like, I have Twilight Imperium, so I don't need Eclipse, or whatever, you know, because if I like that game just fine, and if I want to play a Space 4X game, then I'll just play that. I don't need to open my, and I understand that. I don't agree with it, because of the fact that I do personally believe, unless somebody like came up with a game that, you know, like instead of Twilight Imperium they called it Schmilite Interium or something like that, and they just copied the game entirely, then I wouldn't understand that mentality, because you know, I think games bring a lot of different things to the table. They bring different feels. They bring that designer's inner spark, that designer's like twist on the genre, and they present it, and that's what I like. And the thing is that there's tons of differences in between games, and yes, some of it feels the same, but it presents it in a different way. And Burning Suns does that for me. Burning Suns isn't like any of the other 4X games that I play a lot of, and I mean, I don't own Twilight Imperium anymore, basically because I think the game is excellent. I've played it at my game store game nights with other people that have the copies still, but I don't have
you know, the 9 hours it seems to take to play that game. I mean, if somebody said, "Hey, let's play Twilight Imperium," I'd say that sounds amazing. Let's play that. Oh wait, I'd rather play 4 other games in the same amount of time that it's going to take me to play one game of Twilight Imperium. I love Eclipse, and people are going to say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Eclipse takes a long time." But you know, to me, I've always felt that Eclipse more ported over that Masters of Orion feel better for me, and that's why I like it. And I've gotten to the point with Eclipse, if I can play with 4 players, I play with the same people, and we can get a game of Eclipse done in about 2.5 to 3 hours. So I don't really feel like it's that time of investment. I love Exodus because it's a very kind of, in my mind, trimmed down version. And very brutal game of head-to-head combat, of blowing up each other's planets, which is one of my favorite things in the world. I love Space Empires 4X, especially with the expansion that came out. And that's a review I've been meaning to do so many times, and it just seems like it gets put in the back burner all the time. Mostly because I play with my buddy Derek. That we play a 2-player. And I haven't been able to play it, but that game is like, I love the logistic part of that game. The basically the fact that you have to keep track of everything and you're writing it out and stuff like that. And I love the fog of war elements in that game. And I'm totally talking about all these other games because of the fact, and you're probably saying, well, who cares about those other games? You're doing a review of Burning Suns, and I say that because with Burning Suns, what this game does for me is that it has some of the elements of all those games that I mentioned prior to this, but it has, and then it adds some different things to the game that I really, really enjoy. A lot of the other games, it's just like, oh, this is your race, this is what it does, you're done. You know, and it's like, oh, you are whatever, you know, and that's what this race has the ability to. Some games, you know, don't really have that much variance between the races. Look at Eclipse for a matter. I mean, it's like if everybody plays humans, they're boring. I mean, obviously the back of those cards have a different thing, but it's still, that's just what they are. Burning Suns, as I showed you, has 3 different spots, 3 different differences of what you create as far as your empire, and I love doing that randomly, and I love handing those out randomly, so like you don't know what you're gonna get, and it's almost like one of those flip up books, you know, when you make the different faces of the people. It's like, oh, now the guy's got red hair with a big nose and a scrawny beard, you know, ha ha, you know, and it's one of those things where all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm the nomadic Terrans of the Empire or whatever, and I like that fact. And then you look at that, and then you have to figure out a way for all those 3 things to work together, and it helps formulate your strategy for the game that you're going to be playing. And I like the fact, and I appreciate the heck out of the fact that the designer, a lot of times, like when you have games that have those 3 things, you run into that combo that is overpowered, and it's like, well, geez, this is too big. This is, you know, and if you get that, then you just run ramshot over everybody else. But no, I mean, those 3 different things, no matter what the combination is, at least I haven't discovered it anyway. There isn't really any. It's very, very well balanced, and it's very well made, and I guess I stress that because, you know, I'm just impressed with the fact that they are. I mean, maybe he just put them together and got lucky, but I really don't believe that. I believe that they play tested the heck out of all the different races and the different add-ons to make them very well balanced and work well together. I like the fact that I can pretty much create the universe how I want. You know, I get to go ahead and design it however I like. If I have a player that I feel like, if I'm grasping the game better than somebody else, I can purposely make the board in such a way that it will help that person and hinder me, and so like it'll give you can make it so it handicaps the people. You could make it as big as you want. If you have a giant table, or you could play it on the floor. I can't play it on the floor because I have a toddler, a 20-month-old son, and a bunch of pets, so they just tear it apart. But if you happen to live someplace without those distractions, or somebody like randomly running through your universe, you could take every single tile in the game and you can make just this huge, massive board. And I mean, I've seen that done with other games. I've seen people play Twilight Imperium with 2 sets of Twilight Imperium, and yeah, okay, fine, they can make this giant, massive board, but you can do that just with the one set of this game, and you're only limited as far as like with your imagination, as far as how you want to set up that little space that you want to play in, and I really like that. I think that's really cool. You know, I mean, it's just it adds to the replayability to a large degree for the game, and you can kind of determine what type of game you want to play, and make the system, you make it tiny. If you want to just, put 3 people in a crammed little tiny section of the universe, and you just know you're going to be fighting each other constantly. Or if you're in the mood for kind of a more lazy, kind of just, explore the boundaries of space and just kind of improve your civilization and do that sort of thing, then yeah, make it huge. You play with those same 3 people, but make the map to be larger, or, and you can play with it. And obviously, I mean, if you're not feeling creative, the designer has a lot of different options and a lot of different play-tested scenarios that they've done, and you can just I showed one of those when I showed you how to play the game, but you can definitely just build off of that. The gameplay itself is really solid. I mean, and you're going to see a lot of the things that you see in other games as well. I mean, the ability to improve your ships. That galactic market, I like that. I like the fact that, replenish itself, but also you can kind of force the replenish. I like the fact that it isn't just a standard, I mean, there's a worker placement aspect of the game, and I do like worker placement games if you watch these reviews. But I like the fact that you shuffle those up after each turn, so it isn't always the same. This one's first, this one's that, this one's that, this one's that. And it all kind of stems into the theme of this game that I think it's like ever-changing. The game just kind of has this flow of controlled chaos, if you will. That it kind of keeps you on your toes, as far as just from the get-go, when you get your random assortment of your abilities, and the fact that just because you played a different ability, when you level yourself up as you gain points, you don't have to pick the same thing every single time. You can kind of just go about your way and do it how you want. But I mean, like I said, the combat is very straightforward, and it's very bloody. I mean, because you can't run, you both blast away at each other until one person's left. I like the fact that the game has all the things that I like that some games lack. The whole the idea of ground troops and like bringing people and taking over neutral planets and things like that. And it's just it ports over all the things that I loved about Space 4X type games that I find in other games as well. But like I said, it presents itself in a different way and has different things about the game that I really enjoy. As I said, like with the just the random creations, the different ways to put the universe together, and just it's really I'm really looking forward to how like the ships, because the ships look really cool. If you go to the website for the game and also for the Kickstarter, I know like they've shown the preview of the Kickstarter page. You can see that. You can see the really just interesting take that they've had on the ships, and the thing is that like I said, the rules are completely solid up and down, and they are the backbone of the game, but it's the variability and the longevity of the fact that no 2 games are ever going to be alike. I mean, honestly, when you play this, that is going to keep this game hitting the table more often than I think than most of the other 4X games that I have, just because I like the fact that it's going to be a brand new game for me pretty much every time that I play. So yeah, I mean, there you go. I've enjoyed the heck out of it. I feel very, very privileged that I have a copy of it, albeit a prototype. that I can play, and I can play with my buddies whenever I want, when I want to scratch that 4X itch. And once the Kickstarter gets going, if it isn't going right now, I strongly suggest you go ahead and check out that Kickstarter page and see if it's something you want to back, and you know, put some of your hard-earned money down, so once the game is published, you can get a copy of it for yourself. It does say it takes about 40 minutes per player. I played a 2-player game earlier today, and I was able to get through it in, you know, it was about an hour, a little over an hour, so maybe we came in a little early with the 2-player game. But when you're training, when new people are learning how to play the game, I will fully admit that it probably takes more than that 40 minutes, but I think that's pretty accurate for people that have played the game before, or at least the majority of people have played the game before, so they're able to help the people that are new to the game play it. You know, the 2-player game I played earlier today was a lot of fun, so I can just say from the get-go, 2-player games are a lot of fun. You kind of miss out on the alliance part of the game, which you know, is unfortunate, because that's kind of like, that's one of the fun things you can do, you know, making alliances and breaking them and stuff like that, and that extra part of the game that you get to enjoy with more people in the negotiation aspect. But I definitely think this game hits its stride once you get to about 4 or 5 people. I think the game kind of opens itself up to you a little bit more, and you're able to really start enjoying the different aspects of the game, the different strategies of the game, the different stories that the game starts telling you about, you know, your little empire, and it's the fact that it's waging war against the other dominant you know, empires that are trying to share the same space with you. So as far as like age-wise, I guess I would say that this game is probably, you're looking at 12 or older. I mean, there's a lot of upper-level strategic choices that you have to make that I think a more seasoned gamer is probably going to be more comfortable with. But people that are going to enjoy this game I think are people that like the space theme. They like the whole building your empire aspect, and also they like the whole, you know, they like that game with beyond the game, the negotiation, the economics, the things like that, where you have to kind of just start thinking more than just the mechanics of the game itself, but actually trying to outthink your opponents and just trying to plan your turns ahead of it. You know, if I do this turn, that's going to open up this next turn, maybe I can do that turn. And so I think if you're looking for kind of a more like a nice cerebral Space 4X experience, much like other games of this genre, I don't think you'll be disappointed with Burning Suns. So there you go. That's my recommendation. Thank you, as always, very much for watching these videos that I do. Without you people out there, I definitely wouldn't even do this. So thank you for taking the time. This was Undead Viking. Until my next video, I'll just say take it easy, goodbye, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye-bye now.